Okay, Muzzle Loader Lab by James Weeks, student ID JAWE03840. This is my Muzzle Loader Lab build, and I was a little surprised. Quite a few parts. I wasn't exactly sure. I read through the book to begin with and was looking through it, and quite a bit of parts, a lot of little parts. I thought it was actually pretty simple though. I mean, the basic fire control punish is a side lock and a trigger. Essentially, there's no real firing pin, no bolts, nothing like any other rifles or nothing like that. So it's like, I originally thought it'd be simple. It turned out to be wrong. It wasn't getting the parts to fit, inletting. That was unbelievably difficult for me. My comb was really high, and I had a real problem getting the butt plate to line up right. That probably took the single longest piece I worked on to get right on the buttstock lined up and inletting. I was trying parts together, and I read a few other students that wrote on there about how some of the holes weren't threaded right on the side lock, so I actually had to go buy a 4mm tap and had to tap the front hole in the side lock to finish tapping it through, so I get the screws the thread in there properly. And then I also, since I had the tap, thought I would tap the thimble, one of the thimbles for against the stock. So that way, instead of trying to screw into brass, I just threaded in there. Thought it'd be a little bit easier, and I have the tap. Why not? Hair scraping the buttstock, as I said, was the hardest part. Trying to get it to line up right. I had the most difficult time getting this piece in there. I couldn't seem to get it really tight, and I worked a little more and kept going. Getting the side lock inletted was, I wouldn't say it was difficult. It was a little bit of work getting there, because once you got it in there, then you try and move the hammer or the side lock to cock, and it didn't want to go. So it took a little bit of work getting that in there also. The barrel tenons, those are fairly easy. Trying to find the small side of the tenon and getting it pushed in there. I got my basic hand tools lab, so I got these really nice brass punches. They work really good. I love brass punches. Those things are a lifesaver. They don't damage a whole lot. They're real soft. And nothing to polish the end back up and reshape it. Here we have the test fits. The one on the left was one of the first test fits I did, and it took a little bit. I had a hard time getting the side lock and the barrel to line up properly. I could get them both in there, but it took a little bit of work, and then, it's like the side lock wasn't down enough. And then on the right, we have it a little bit further along. The inletting block gets everywhere. I even got it on the carpet. My wife got a little upset about that, but sorry. It's really messy stuff. Then I went to a wood rasp once I got parts screwed in there and fitted. Started working around the butt plate, getting that all fitted in there, trying to get it pretty close. It's kind of hard keeping with curves and stuff, but it took a little bit. They gummed up really quick, I found out. It's been a long time since I used a wood file. They tend to acquire wood chips really quickly, and you got to clean them out constantly. Get a nice sanding block. A little difficult getting the sandpaper in there, but I got it worked out. I started with 100 grit sandpaper, trying to get it down, and then I worked my way up to 150, 220, and then finally to 320 for a finish. There's a lot of sanding. It took quite a bit, but I got it there. It got real smooth. I had to do some hand sanding around some of the curves and corners and stuff there. I started out with the high spots when I should have started with the low spot sanding first. I probably could have kept that curve a little better, but I hand sanded around there and got the curve back. Then once I was done with the sanding, I went on to polishing the brass. So I took all the brass off and polished it all up. I started out with 400 grit, worked my way up to 2000 grit. And then once I got to 2000 grit, I got my Dremel out with his polishing attachments, and I polished the living crap out of those things. I wanted them things to shine. And the Navy, we polished everything brass with Brasso and get everything shiny, so I was trying to keep with that. Then I decided to cold blue the barrel. I picked up the Birchwood Casey Cold Blue, Perma Blue. I really did try it in the oven. I figured put the oven on 150 degrees and I could get it kind of warm to the touch, but turned out the barrel was too long to fit in the oven. The door stayed pretty much wide open no matter what I did, and it just didn't get the barrel hot. I mean, like the tang of it got kind of warm, but that was about it. So I went to the old hair dryer as I seen Iraq Veteran 88 had done, 88 had done, and it actually worked really good. I mean, it gets it warm, but it doesn't get it real hot. No dangers, not like that. So I did it in 3 sections. Started off with the rear section, and then I moved to the middle section, then the front section of the barrel. And as I moved from to the next section, when I finished with that next section, when I went from the first to the second section, I went back over the first section, kind of blend them together so you didn't know one darker than the other, and then the same with the third, and then I redid it all over again. I did 3 coats, I think it was, to get it there. I end up with this. Per the instructions, you're supposed to rinse it off in, I think it's just water, maybe it's cold water, to neutralize the effects of the chemicals, to stop it from rusting, and then I oiled it. Made it nice and shiny, and looks really good. It's not a durable finish, but, I mean, it's a muzzle loader, so like I'm maybe out shooting it every day. I might. I actually kind of like this thing, but I figured it was good. Good trial. See how this turned out. And then we have right before I started finishing staining the stock, everything's on there, make sure everything fit right, everything was good to go. Then I used walnut stain from the Birchwood Casey kit. There was 3 of them in there. I picked up walnut stain, True Oil, and then the stock sheen kit, which I did not use. I did 3 coats of stain to get it to the desired look that I liked. I even did the field rod that it comes with, which did not want to work well with the rifle. The field rod was kind of bent, and I could get it in there and out, but not all the way. So it's pretty much in there the way it is now. It does not come out. I can take it out, but it's really difficult. This is the first coat of True Oil I put on there. It soaked up really quickly into the stock, and I made sure I put a good heavy coat on there. And then once it dried, about 24 hours later, per the instructions, 24 hours and then 12 hours between each additional coat, it came with fine steel wool, so I knocked down all the high spots to try and get a really good coat and a good finish in there. And after 5 coats, it turned out really nice. I was impressed. I did not think it was going to come out this well. I was a little worried. I've never finished a stock before like this, and it actually turned out really well. Then here we have the final product. After it's all said and done, everything's bolted up, screwed on there. It actually worked really well. It looked a lot better than I thought it was. I was surprised at how well it turned out. The nose cap was the hardest problem, I think, aside from inletting. The brass screws just did not want to thread into the wood. I got them in there after a while, drilling and tapping, and I was finally able to get them in there, but they were difficult.
Okay, so we got the function check to make sure everything works. We got the side lock, it's all the way down. I'm gonna pull it back. You have captive half cock, so nothing works. Won't fire. Good spot to have it. And you go all the way back. And that's where it will fire at. First trigger works. Works like a dream. And the captive half cock, where I like to keep it at.
I was kind of amazed by the half cock there, where it pretty much locks it in there, where it does not move at all. Nice little groove in there, and it's kind of a neat little safety features built into these side locks.
Much harder trigger. So, it works. I've already shot it, as you'll see in another video.
Here we're out shooting it. I loaded 80 grains of 2F black powder. Unfortunately, the only thing I could get was Pirate X. I was hoping for some 777, but 4th of July, everybody tended to want to make their own fireworks. Make sure I'm getting all the powder in there. I'd seen videos and stuff. IREC Veteran 8888 had produced one where they loaded these things full of black powder, but I wanted to make sure that I got all the powder, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't end up with any air pockets. Always on the warnings they say make sure there's no air pockets. It's like having an obstructed barrel. On my rod that I picked up for loading and unload, or basically loading, I ran it in there all the way with that jag on there, and then I painted the end of it red. That way I know that when that lines up perfectly flush with the barrel, it's unloaded. I was a little nervous shooting. I don't like taking videos of myself or nothing, especially my wife shooting the video. But I was a little surprised at how well this did not kick. I was kind of bracing for the worst since it's a metal butt plate. It turned out really, really well with 80 grains. There's almost no kick at all. It was a real hard push, and I did forget the, follow through. I was a little nervous in the video, but it turned out well. And then when you hit the second trigger to ease the pull, the front trigger is really, really light.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for instructing me in this class. I had a lot of fun. I really like this rifle. I've shot it about 3 or 4 times now. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. There's a lot that can be learned from this thing. I mean, just the whole process of building this rifle was amazing. Just how the simplicity of it is just astounding, and how well it turned out. Getting the stock finish, the inletting. I was surprised at how well the stock actually turned out with just the true oil kit. I mean, there's nothing professional about this. It was just Birchwood Casey stuff. The Birchwood Casey Cold Blue, the Birchwood Casey True Oil, and their walnut stain. Turned out a lot better than I thought it would. Thank you.